Space Exploration Technology Corporation, commonly referred to as SpaceX, is an American spacecraft manufacturer, launch service provider, and satellite communication company headquartered at the SpaceX Starbase near Brownsville, Texas, after first being established in 2002 in Southern California, where it still has significant operation. The company was founded by Elon Musk with the goal of reducing space transportation costs by designing for reusability and ultimately developing a sustainable colony on Mars. SpaceX currently products and operates the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rocket along with the Dragon spacecraft. Trade name SpaceX, company type private, industry space telecommunication, founded March 14, 2002, 22 years ago. Founder Elon Musk, headquarters SpaceX Starbase, Brownsville, Texas, United States. Key people: Elon Musk, CEO, product launch vehicle, Dragon capsules, Star Health, revenues 4.6 billion 2022, net income 559 million 2002. Warner Elon Musk 42%, equity 79%, voting control, number of employees 30,000 plus September 2023. The company offers internet service via its Starlink subsidiary, which became the largest ever satellite constellation in January 2020, and as of April 2024, comparison more than 6,000 small satellites in orbit. Meanwhile, the company is developing Starship, a human-rated, fully reusable super heavy lift launch system for interplanetary and orbital spaceflight. On its first flight test in April 2023, it became the largest and most powerful rocket ever. It's become the largest and most powerful rocket ever flown. On its fourth flight test, it reached space and both stages returned for a control splashdown in June 2024. SpaceX is the first private company to develop a liquid propellant rocket that has reached orbit, launched orbit, and recovered a spacecraft, sent a spacecraft to the International Space Station, and sent astronaut to the International Space Station. It is also the first organization of any type to achieve a vertical propulsive landing of an orbital rocket booster and the first to reuse a booster. The company Falcon 9 rocket have landed and flown again more than 300 times. As of June 2024, SpaceX have a valuation of around 200 billion. In early 2001, Elon Musk met Robert Zubrin and donated 1 lakh to his Mars Society, joining its board of directors for a short time. He gave a plenary talk at their fourth convention where he announced Mars was a project to land a greenhouse and grow plant on Mars. Musk initially attempted to acquire a Danier International ballistic missile for the project through Russian contact from Jim Canrell. Musk then returned with his team a second time to Moscow, this time bringing Michael Griffin as well, but found the Russian increasingly unrespectful. On the flight home, Musk announced he could start a company to build the affordable rocket they needed instead by applying vertical integration using inexpensive commercial off-the-shelf component when possible and adopting the modular approach of modern software engineering. Marx developed SpaceX could significantly cut launch costs. In early 2002, Elon Musk started to look for staff for his company, soon to be named SpaceX. Musk approached 5 people for the initial position at the flooding company, including Michael Griffin, who declined the position of chief engineer, James Candrell and John Garvey. Candle and Garvey would later found the company Vector Launch. Rocket engineer Tom Mueller and Charis Thompson. SpaceX was the first headquartered in a warehouse in Segundo, California. Early SpaceX employees such as Tom Mueller, CTO, Gian Shortwell, COO, and Charis Thompson, VP of Operation, came from neighboring TRW and Boeing Corporation. By November 2005, the company had 116 employees. Musk personally interviewed and approved all of SpaceX's early employees. Musk has stated that one of his goals with SpaceX is to decrease the cost and improve the reliability of access to space, ultimately by a factor of 10. SpaceX developed its first orbital launch vehicle, the Falcon 1. With internal funding, the Falcon 1 was an expendable to stretch to orbit a small lift launch vehicle. The total development cost of Falcon 1 was approximately 19 million to 100 million. The Falcon rocket series was named after Star Wars Millennium Falcon fictional spacecraft. In 2004, SpaceX protested against NASA to the Government Accountability Office (GAO) because of a slow source contract awarded to Kestrel Aerospace. Before the GAO could respond, NASA withdrew the contract and formed the COTS program. In 2005, SpaceX announced plans to pursue a humanitarian commercial space program through the end of the decade, a program that would later become the Dragon spacecraft. In 2006, the company was selected by NASA and awarded $396 million to provide crew and cargo resupply demonstration contract to the International Space Station ISS under the COTS program. The first two Falcon 1 launches were pursued by the United States Department of Defense under the DARPA Falcon project, which evaluated new U.S. launch vehicles suitable for using hypersonic missile delivery for prompt global strike. The first 3 launches of the rocket between 2006 and 2008 all resulted in failure, which almost ended the company. Financing for Tesla Motor had failed as well, and consequently Tesla, SolarCity, and Musk personally were nearly bankrupt at the same time. Musk was reportedly working from nightmares, screaming, and in physical pain because of the stress. The financial situation started to turn around with the first successful launch achieved on the 4th attempt. On 28 September 2008, Musk spoiled his remaining 13 million between SpaceX and Tesla, and NASA awarded the first commercial resupply service CRS contract awarded 1.6 billion to SpaceX in December, thus financially saving the company. Based on those factors and the further business operation they enable, the Falcon 1 was soon retired following its second successful and fifth total launch in July 2009. This allowed SpaceX to focus company resources on the development of a larger orbital rocket, the Falcon 9. June Shotwell was also promoted to company president at the time for her role in successfully negotiated the CRS contract with the NASA Associate Administration Bill Jarteinmeier. SpaceX originally intended to follow its light Falcon 1 launch vehicle with an intermediate capacity vehicle, the Falcon 5. The company instead decided in 2005 to progress with the development of Falcon 9, a reusable heavier lift vehicle. Development of the Falcon 9 was accelerated by NASA, who is committed to pursuing several commercial flights. Its spacecraft capabilities were demonstrated. This started with the seed money from the Commercial Orbital Transportation Services (COTS) program in 2006. The overall contract award was $278 million to provide development funding for the Dragon spacecraft Falcon 9 and demonstration launch of Falcon 9 with Dragon. As part of this contract, the Falcon 9 launched for the first time in June 2010 with the Dragon spacecraft qualification unit using a mock-up of the Dragon spacecraft. The first operational Dragon spacecraft was launched in December 2010. Abrupt COTS Demo Flight 1. The Falcon 9 second flight and safely returned to Earth after two orbits, completing all its mission objectives. By December 2010, the SpaceX production line was manufacturing on Falcon 9 and Dragon every 3 months. In April 2011, as part of its second round commercial crew development CC-DAVE program, NASA issued a $75 million contract for SpaceX to develop an integrated launch escape system for Dragon in preparation for human rating it as a crew transport vehicle to the ISS. NASA awarded SpaceX a fixed price Space Act Agreement SAA to product a detailed design of the crew transportation system in August 2012. In early 2012, approximately two-thirds of SpaceX stock was owned by Musk, and his 70 million shares were then estimated to be worth $875 million on private market, valuing SpaceX at $1.3 billion. In May 2012, with the Dragon C2 Plus launch, Dragon became the first commercial spacecraft to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. After the flight, the company private equity valuation nearly doubled to $2.4 billion or 20 share. By the time SpaceX had and operated on total funding of approximately $1 billion over its first decade of operation. Of this, private equity provided approximately $200 million, with Musk investing approximately $100 million and other investors having put in about $100 million. SpaceX active reusability test program began in late 2012 with testing low altitude, low speed aspect of the landing technology. The Falcon 9 prototype performed vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL, high velocity, high altitude test of the booster atmosphere return technology began in late 2013. SpaceX launched the first commercial mission for a private customer in 2013. In 2014, SpaceX won 9 contracts out of the 20 that were openly completed worldwide. That year, Asian Space requested that European government provide additional subsidies to face the competition from SpaceX. Beginning in 2014, SpaceX capabilities and pricing also began to affect the market for launch of US military payload, which for nearly 2 decades had been dominated by the large US launch provider United Launch Alliance. The The monopoly had allowed launch cost by the US provider to rise to over 400 million over the year. In September 2014, NASA Director of Commercial Spaceflight Kevin Kriller awarded SpaceX the Commercial Crew Transportation Capabilities CCTCAP contract to finalize the development of the crew transportation system. The contract included several technical and certification milestones and uncrewed flight tests, a crewed flight test, and 6 operational missions. After certification in January 2015, SpaceX raised $1 billion in funding from Google and Fidelity Investment in exchange for 8.33% of the company, establishing the company valuation at approximately $12 billion. The same month, SpaceX announced the development of a new satellite constellation called Starlink to provide global broadband internet service with 4,000 satellites. The Falcon 9 had the first major failure in late June 2015 when the 7th ISS resupply mission CRS-7 exploded 2 minutes into the flight. The problem was traced to a failed 2-foot-long steel strut that held a helium pressure vessel which broke free due to the force of acceleration. This case a breach and allowed high pressure helium to escape into the low pressure propellant tank, causing the failure. SpaceX first achieved a successful landing and recovery of a first SS in December 2015 with Falcon 9 Flight 20. In April 2016, the company achieved the first successful landing on the autonomous spaceport drone ship ASDS, of course, I Still Love You, in the Atlantic Ocean by October 2016. Following the successful landing, SpaceX indicated they were offering their customer a 10% price discount if they chose to fly their payload on a reused Falcon 9 first stage. A second major rocket failure happened in early September 2016 when a Falcon 9 exploded during a propellant filled operation for a standard pre-launch static fire test. The payload and AMOS-6 communication satellite valued at $200 million was destroyed. The explosion was caused by the liquid oxygen that is used in propellant turning so cold that it solidified and ignited with carbon composite helium vessel, thus not considering an unsuccessful flight. The rocket explosion set the company into a 4-month launch hiatus while it worked out what went wrong. SpaceX returned to flight in January 2017. In March 2017, SpaceX launched a returned Falcon 9 for the SES-10 satellite. This was the first time a relaunch of a payload carrying orbital rocket went back to space. The first stage was recovered again, also making it the first landing of a reused orbital class rocket. In July 2017, the company raised $315 million, which raised its valuation to $21 billion in 2017. SpaceX achieved a 45% global market share for awarded commercial launch contract. By March 2018, SpaceX had more than 100 launches on its main first, representing about $12 billion in contract revenue. The contract include both commercial and government NASA/DOD customer. This made SpaceX the leading global commercial launch provider measured by manifested launch. In 2017, SpaceX formed a subsidiary, the Boring Company and began work to construct a short test tunnel on the adjacent to the SpaceX headquarters and manufacturing facility using a small number of SpaceX employees, which was completed in May 2018 and opened to the public in December 2018. During 2018, the Boring Company was spun out into a separate corporate entity with 6% of the equity going to SpaceX, less than 10% to early employee, and the remainder of the equity to Elon Musk. In 2019, SpaceX raised 1.33 billion of capital across three funding rounds. By May 2019, the valuation of SpaceX had risen to 33.3 billion and reached 36 billion by March 2020. 19 August 2020, after a 1.9 billion funding round, one of the largest single fundraising push by any privately held company, SpaceX valuation increased to 46 billion. In February 2021, SpaceX raised an additional 1.61 billion in an equity round from 99 investors at a per share value of approximately 420, raising the company valuation to approximately 74 billion. By 2021, SpaceX had raised more than 6 billion in equity financing. Most of the capital raised since 2019 has been used to support the operational fielding of the Starlink satellite constellation and the development and manufacturing of the Starship launch vehicle. By October 2021, the valuation of SpaceX had risen to 100.3 billion on 16 April 2021. Starship SLS won a contract to play a critical role in the NASA crewed spaceflight Artemis program. By 2021, SpaceX had entered into agreement with Google Cloud Platform and Microsoft Azure to provide on-ground computer and networking service for Starlink. A new round of financing in 2020 valued SpaceX at 127 billion. In July 2021, SpaceX unveiled another drone ship named a Shortfall of Gravitas, landing a booster from CRS-2318 for the first time on 29 August 2021. Within the first 113 days of 2020, SpaceX had 18 rocket launch and 2 astronauts slashed down. On 13 December 2021, company CEO Elon Musk announced that the company was starting a carbon dioxide removal program that would convert captured carbon into rocket fuel, after he announced a $100 million donation to the X Prize Foundation the previous February to provide the monetary reward to winning in a contest to develop the best carbon capture technology. In August 2022, Return reported that the European Space Agency ESA began initial discussion with SpaceX that could lead to the company launcher being used temporarily, given that Russia blocked access to Soyuz rocket amid the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Since that invasion and in the greater war between Russia and Ukraine, Starlink was extensively used. In 2022, SpaceX Falcon 9 also became the world record holder for the most launcher of a single vehicle type in a single year. SpaceX launched a rocket approximately every 6 days in 2022 with 61 launchers in a total. While but one a Falcon Heavy in November was on of a Falcon 9 rocket. In November 2023, SpaceX announced it would acquire its parachute supplier Pioneer Aerospace out of bankruptcy for $2.2 million. On 16 July 2024, Elon Musk posted on X that SpaceX would move its headquarters from Hawthorne, California to SpaceX Starbase in Brownsville, Texas. Marx said this was because the recently passed California AB 1955 bill and the many other that preceded it attacking both families and companies. This new law in California banned a school district from requiring the teacher Nofty patent about change to a student's sexual orientation and gender identity. The headquarters officially moved to Brownsville, Texas in August 2024, according to a record filed with the California Secretary of State. The move of recalled SpaceX headquarters was seen as largely symbolic, at least in the short term. The Hawthorne faculty continue to support the company Falcon launch vehicle, which was a SpaceX workhorse product in 2024. SpaceX Polaris drone mission featured the first ever private space walk, making a major milestone in commercial space exploration.